Welcome to the French Wedding Podcast with your host Naïm, the only podcast in English about weddings in France. Great conversations, tips and insights about your French wedding, some wisdom before your big day, and the opportunity to hear wedding professionals actually living and working in France, only for your day to be the most amazing to remember.
Hello everyone and welcome to the French Wedding Podcast. Greetings from France. This is the place where we're recording this show. I'm Naïm, professional ceremony officiant based in my hometown Paris, and I created this show especially for future brides and grooms willing to get married in Paris or anywhere in France. Each episode is an occasion to meet a main actor of the industry, can be a vendor such as a wedding planner, hair and makeup artists, bridal salon, videographer, venue owner, bloggers, you name it. This show exists to bring you some insight about how people do things in France regarding the wedding industry, but we also share funny stories, things to know, and special memories when we happen to work together on the very same wedding. Today I had a chat with Claire, a British-born photographer based in the heart of Provence, to talk about her venture. There are many photographers to choose from, but few of them have Claire's distinctive voice, which comes from years of developing a personal style and the eye of an artist. I had a great time chatting with her about the different aspects of wedding photography. So without further delay, please welcome Claire Macintyre on the French Wedding Podcast. Claire, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you very much.
Thanks for being here today in this very hot day. We have a heat wave in Paris. I don't know, what about you in the French Riviera?
It's really hot, but we have a breeze, and we don't have. I live in the countryside, so we don't have like the city heat. So I think it's hotter in Paris. When it's hot in France, it's hotter in Paris than anywhere else.
Oh, well, I think we could start that way. How did you choose to live in the French Riviera, and what makes it so different for your clients?
I don't think I really did choose to live here. I think it chose me.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because I'm a London girl. I was born and raised in London, lived nearly my whole life in London, so I'm a city girl. And Paris is very special to me. So I think if I'd have made a conscious decision, I would have lived in Paris. But Provence and the Riviera, it wanted me, and it kept finding ways to bring me to it. So that's why I'm here. But we have the TGV, so I can come to Paris anytime. So
That's true.
Usually come. Yeah, I'm usually in Paris at least once or twice a month, so it's fine.
Okay, great. Well, I'd like to start with you, a little bit more about you. Tell me, what do you provide and how did it all started?
Yeah, well, so I'm a wedding photographer, and I work very closely with my husband, who is a wedding videographer, and we work mostly with international couples, so Americans, British, Asia, Australians, New Zealanders, anybody who speaks English as a first or second language. We tend to work with them on their weddings. So that's the bulk of what we do normally in normal times. And what else? The areas that we cover, it tends to be Provence and the French Riviera for our wedding couples. Again, this comes back to just Provence and the Riviera wanting me and calling me to her. We've acted. I was a London-based photographer for several years. Had a very lovely business there. Was shooting a huge amount of weddings, about 35 to 40 weddings a year, which is easier in London because for some reason it doesn't feel like you're working that hard.
Right.
And then we got one wedding in the south of France in, I believe it was Grasse. The ceremony was in Grasse, and the wedding reception was at a beach club in Cannes. And I didn't realise when I booked the wedding that the couple were kind of celebrities in the UK.
Okay.
So the photos went crazy and got published everywhere, and people kept finding out about me. And so I ended up being a photographer in the south of France. But I'd always had a love of out of the blue. But it coincided with my desire to move to France,
Okay.
Which I had been wanting to do for again, several years. So yeah, the universe has a way of making happen what it wants to happen.
I agree with that. What made you choose France to live and to work?
I just absolutely, I love French people. I love the culture. I love the landscapes. I just love the light as well. You know, the south of France has the most incredible light. There are only two places that I've been to in the world that have this unique golden light, and it even happens in Paris as well. So California and the south of France have this very unique light that is incredibly attractive to me, and really it really kind of just gels perfectly with my personal taste and my personal style and my photographic eye and the colors that I use in my work. And I think, you know, coming from grey London,
Yeah.
being, you know, there's not a lot of color to photograph, and I just crave color. I'm a very colorful person, and I love the colors of the south of France, the greens, the blues, the yellows, and of course the purples. And then just the blue of the Côte d'Azur, just
Côte d'Azur
yes.
is really nice. I'm a Parisian
Yeah.
myself. I visited the Côte d'Azur very late in my life, but I have to say it's truly, truly breathtaking. The views that you can have from all over the coast, beautiful.
You know, you stand on Pampelon Beach and you look out at the Côte d'Azur and you feel Picasso's footsteps on the beach still.
Absolutely.
It's just magic. There's nothing quite like it.
It's true. So what year was that when you had this amazing Kickstarter for your first wedding in France?
That would have been around 2016.
Okay.
Around 2016. And within 12 months, I was traveling backwards and forwards to France once a month minimum.
Okay.
And it got pretty intense pretty quickly. So yeah, about 2014. And then we made the permanent move. Well, Brexit happened. I don't know if you heard about that thing that happened in the UK, this Brexit thing. But anyway, that happened. And my husband and I went, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
and so it gave us all the pushes over to France. And so we came over permanently very, very early in 2018. And we moved into our house in April, on the 13th of April. And by the 20th of April, we had back-to-back weddings, 22 weekends straight in a row.
Whoa.
So that was a pretty intense year.
That's a launch. That's a good, successful launch. Very, very nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
And what type of service do you provide exactly for your clients? Do portraits? Do you do weddings, elopements? I've seen on your website. Tell us a bit more about it.
I do, yeah. So for couples and especially people getting married, we like to kind of do whatever they need. I consider myself more than anything a portrait photographer, or not even a portrait photographer, but a photographer of people and moments. And I'm absolutely obsessed with capturing moments and just the little things that people do that they're not aware of, and moments that happen. And so that lends itself very well to both portraits and weddings. And I love people. I love taking photos of Provence and Riviera and landscapes and flowers. I love it. But there's something amazing to me about people and their faces and the things that they say and the things that they do. So wedding services has been for the last sort of 10 years of my life the thing that I do the most, mostly because I think I have an incredible skill set for weddings. I thrive in chaotic, busy situations. That's the Londoner in me. And it's weddings are very intense. They're roller coasters, and so weddings is one of the main things that we do. And then, it's very seasonal, as you know, weddings in France. Paris has a little bit more of a longer season than we have in the south of France, but which I believe here in the south of France really truly runs between April and the end of September.
Okay.
So off season, I do commercial photography with brands and hotels. I'll put together more work for my portfolio in styled shoots. catch up on my admin, which is always neglected massively in the wedding season. So yeah, that's what I do.
Looks like you're thriving in chaotic environments. This is what you do.
Yes, yeah,
You like that?
And yes, I think it's my superpower, really. I have this ability to see when something's going to happen.
Okay, that's interesting.
Feel it tingling in my body.
Tell me a bit more about that. I'm kind of interested. I'm sure the audience would like to know more about this.
Well, I think I have number one, I mean, a lot of people come to me and they say, oh, Claire, I'm thinking about it's strangely, it's always brides that are thinking about getting into the wedding industry after they've got married. I'm thinking about getting into the wedding industry. I'm thinking about being a florist or a photographer or a planner. It's mostly planner. And I say to them, well, number one, do you like weddings? That's a big, and if you don't like weddings, then don't do it.
Yeah.
And number two, do you like people? And do you like lots of them all at the same time?
True.
Because so I think you have to have a natural. A lot of people get into weddings thinking, oh, there's loads of money in weddings. There's loads of money in weddings. I don't believe that to be true. I think there can be if you develop a good business, but mostly you'll get by, especially in the beginning. You'll get by. So if you don't enjoy being with people and celebrating with them, there's no point in doing it. And I think you also have to have a natural sense of capturing these moments that these people are having, because wedding aside, these people that you're with at a wedding, they're close to each other. They love each other. Sometimes they hate each other. This is another thing you have to look for, And there are these moments that happen that you are privileged to witness. And it's even more of a privilege to be able to capture that moment that it will escape otherwise, and present it to these people and say, look, you didn't see your mother crying when you were putting on your dress, but I saw it, and now you see this and you have this as a memory forever. So, it gives me goosebumps even now thinking about it 10 years in. So, and having the longer you are a photographer, the more, or anybody who works intensely in a wedding, like a planner or a coordinator, the longer you do it, the more you start to see, there's something about to happen. That child is gonna lift up the bride's dress and have a peek underneath, or the groom is on the verge of tears, or just these things. You kind of get a sense for the moment that it's going to happen, so you can be prepared to either enhance it or capture it. And I think it's kind of our responsibility as well to make love happen and to make fun happen and to kind of gently direct the proceedings of the day, so that you're not faking or staging something, but you're encouraging moments to happen that they'll remember for the rest of their life. Not just the bride and groom, but everybody at the wedding. So.
And what is
I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, that's good. Do you have any special techniques to create these moments and not avoid to fake it or this kind of things?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I don't. I consider myself as a combination of an editorial photographer and a documentary photographer.
Right.
I think that I've been told that is one of the things that makes my work quite unique, is that I'm not all about what's pretty. What looks pretty, what will look nice in my portfolio, because I will take an ugly photo. If there's and I also present photos that aren't perfect, because if I feel that something happened, a moment was captured that is significant, I want my couple, my client, to see that. So there are ways that you can make it happen. I mean, not every wedding is full of joy and laughter. Not every wedding is happy, or so there are things that you can make happen in a gentle way. And I mean, one of the reasons, you don't, there's no particular need to do this, because you're going to get paid, whether they had a good time or not. But I feel I like to create stories in my own life. I like to create memories with my family, and so that we'll have a story to talk about. And do you remember when we did this, or do you remember when that happened? So I like to try and do that at weddings as well, and doing little things like making sure, and it happens so often, making sure mother of the bride is in the room when the bride puts her dress on.
Right.
It's a moment that you would just presume the mother would be there for.
Mm-hmm.
But so many times, especially in the chaos of the bridal suite in the morning, and the 15 bridesmaids, all of whom want to be helping the most. This moment, all too often, I find myself having to intervene in. So you have to you don't want to tell them what they're doing, what they're going to do. There's been many times when I've said, look, let's wait, don't put the dress on yet. Let's find mum. Oh, no, I'm too busy. I'm too flustered. Sure, she's missed it. I'll make sure mum's there.
Right.
Because I know that when the bride puts her dress on for the first time in that room on her wedding day, that something happens to her that she doesn't expect is going to happen. She doesn't realize that she's reached this moment in her life that she's been thinking about for her whole life since she was a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And the emotion usually overwhelms them. And what do you need when that happens? You need your mother. And your mother needs to see that, So that's one of the things that I most intervene on, 100%.
Sounds like you're a story person. You like stories.
I am a story. Yes, I am a story person. You're very correct. I'm a story person.
Do you like to create stories through the vision that you have with your photography?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I mean, whether it be an individual portrait
mm-hmm.
or a collection of photos, whether it's a 1.5 hour couple session or an entire 12-hour wedding day, the story is very important to me, both as an individual image, as a collection of images, and also with the wedding video. It's one of the reasons why I inevitably wanted to integrate video into our business structure and the services that we offer our clients, because I'm a huge film fanatic. I love movies, especially sentimental movies, anything Steven Spielberg or Ridley Scott. I'm right there. And so it is, yeah. I mean, I'm very conscious that I like pretty things.
Mm-hmm.
So there are inevitably very pretty editorial, style me pretty level images that I'll create for my couples, but I don't stop their weddings to do that. And I think what people find most surprising about my work is that the couple portraits specifically that I create on a wedding day aren't staged in any way. They're all completely natural moments. The most I've done to intervene is say, oh, it's a little bit prettier over there than it is right here. Can we go over there and we'll take a walk together and have a talk? So I don't believe that you need to fake moments on a wedding day, set up a moment, create something that wasn't going to happen naturally to the point of it.
It's kind of hard sometimes because most of the time people wait to be directed sometimes,
Yes.
And they're sometimes counting on you or any other of the vendors to drive them because this is what you do for a living. And to leave this, especially for a photographer or a videographer, to leave this part of coincidence and stage, nothing around it, really needs a lot of practice, I think.
Yeah, it needs a lot of practice. I'm a strong believer in assisting, and especially for photographers and videographers, for second shooting as much as possible before you start doing weddings on your own. So that you have this job, you can take all the courses in the world, you can go to university, and so you need on the boots, feet on the ground, physical experience at multiple weddings.
Mm-hmm.
If I do one-to-one coaching, which I often do with people who want to get into weddings, I always say, do not even consider booking your first wedding until you've done at least 10 weddings with other photographers.
Right. What is the main? Sorry to interrupt, but I think it's interesting. What is the main reason for that, according to you?
There's two reasons. The first, and I think the most important reason, is it's somebody's wedding. There's no second chances. So it doesn't matter if you're only getting paid €100,
right? And
that person's only having a wedding that maybe cost €500. It doesn't matter what the budget is.
Of course,
this is their wedding. There's no second chances. They might have another wedding and get married to another person, but they're not going to have this wedding ever again.
Right.
So it's a real it's a big responsibility. It's not, anybody who gets into this game purely out of the want of money is in the wrong game. So that's my first bit of advice for everybody. Is I just can't imagine. Can't imagine have ever doing the job without having some experience.
Right.
And also, yes, you're right. It is difficult. Some weddings, they happen completely naturally and everything's wonderful, and you have to do almost nothing. The wedding's fabulous.
Right.
And again, but there are a lot of weddings, and I would say at least 80% of the weddings that you'll shoot in a year, they need some help.
Mm-hmm.
I do this by having as much preparation with the couple and the team of the wedding in advance as possible, because the last thing I want to do on a wedding day is have the couple having to make decisions or think about where we're going to take the family photos, or feeling like the pressure of, we're going to have to start taking couple portraits in a minute. I'm so nervous. I don't want them to feel like it's a photo shoot at all. I want them to feel it's their wedding day and I'm just another guest with a camera. So one way of doing that is as much preparation in advance as possible. I send out a detailed schedule where every 30 minutes is blocked off. What time is this going to happen? Where is everybody going to be? And quite often, with the majority, only if there's a wedding planner involved, it tends not to happen so much. But I will go back to the couple and say to them, if you get married at 5:30 instead of 4:30, it won't be so hot, and then you'll have time to do this. So it's planning out the day. And again, this is you won't know what timings you'll need to work to unless you've done weddings, unless you've actually physically had the experience of doing weddings. You won't know that you need 2 hours for cocktail hour because you've got to fit in this, and this. Some photographers need 2 hours to do couple portraits. Some photographers only need 20 minutes. So it's all part of you've got to get as much experience as possible. And sometimes, like wedding clients, because I've worked really, really hard on developing my SEO.
Mm-hmm.
So my search engine optimization, that my ability to be found on Google and Instagram and things like this, I'm often contacted by a lot of couples who don't have the budget for my services.
Mm-hmm.
And I always explain to them, there seems to be a lot of couples who have this idea in their head that €1,500 is the average cost of wedding photography. And I have to explain to them, like, there is an entry level and then there is an experience level. Me being a 10-year wedding photographer, my rates are obviously quite a lot higher than an entry, year one photographer, entry level photographer, which in my opinion should be around about €1,000.
Right.
So, you can see and I think that some people look at, photographers' rates and they say, that photographer's €10,000. And then you look at the photographer and you understand.
And you understand,
photographer has been doing it for 15 years. They have been published in Harper's Bazaar, Vogue, Style Me Pretty. They've worked with, So it's the experience really does make a difference.
Yeah.
There are a lot of very talented wedding photographers, but they don't have the physical experience, and it really does make a big difference in the storytelling of a wedding day.
As they always say, price is what you pay and value is what you get at the end of the day. I totally agree with that. I've met a lot
of course, that's all gone up in smoke now because we're in the middle of a pandemic and everybody's in a recession. So we're all back to square one.
Yeah, it's going to take time to go back to the normal, I think. But
I think so.
I think in the long run, what you say is tend to be true. Doesn't matter the time or the situation. If you want to have quality, you have to pay for it. And this is what makes the difference, because I was talking with another photographer the other day. She was telling me that she was providing something who takes value with time. And it's true, because after 20 years, you will see your pictures in a very different way. And if they're taken by a professional photographer, this is when you will see the difference. So I really agree with that.
And I found as well, just throughout the years, the amount of images that I have available to my couples at the end of a wedding, it has gotten more and more. I mean, I remember when I first started, I think the first year that I was a photographer, I was averaging about 250 images a wedding.
Wow.
And now, on average, I'm giving the couple about 1,200 images a wedding.
Wow.
And they will, and they will majority be completely unique, independent moments from the other moments. And that again is just, it's experience. It's experience. And it even, differs from the beginning of season to the end of season, because we have that winter break. The weddings I start doing in April tend to have less photos than the ones that I'll shoot, say, in August, because I've gotten better through the season as well.
Wow.
And that's why wedding photographers' prices change every year, because with every single wedding you shoot, you get better.
Okay.
And you can see it in people's work. You can see it in people's work as well.
I've seen that on your website that you're choosing to work with a limited number of clients. I like that.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah. So this is another thing that, and I think it doesn't just apply to wedding photographers. I think it can apply to everybody in the industry across the board. In the beginning, I highly recommend, once you've done at least 10 weddings as a second, I highly recommend that you book every single type of wedding. Ugly weddings, beautiful weddings, ugly couples, beautiful couples. You cannot just shoot beautiful weddings. Okay. Number one, your experience level was probably not going to allow you to do that. But number two, not every bride and not every groom have £100,000 or 100,000 euros are going to get married at Chateau Estiblanc. They're just not. Those weddings happen rarely. And in order to get to those weddings, you need to spend 10 years as a wedding photographer, unless you are exceptionally talented, exceptionally well connected, or very, very lucky, or a combination of all three. So, the reason why I now only work with a limited number of clients per year is because I've been doing it a long time. I've been doing it 10 years. I have some renown. I'm quite sought after. I've worked really hard to be desirable to clients. And so I like to do between 10 and 15 weddings a year at the most. This is because, as you heard, I give about 1,200 images per wedding. So when I shoot a wedding, I am completely and utterly invested.
You're not kidding.
So I'm good. Yeah. And I'll spend an entire week physically getting ready for it.
Okay.
And then on top of that, it's not just the on the day service that I provide for my couples. I spend a lot of time with them in the preparation phase, consulting them, advising them, getting to know them, providing them with really high value customer service, both before and after. So it takes me about 3 weeks of solid work for one wedding, at least. So because of that, I also want to have a life.
Of course.
So my prices are such that it will exclude a lot of people, because they don't want to invest in that. And it's really difficult. It takes a long time to get to the point where I am and my peers. It takes a long time. As I said, 10 years I've been doing this. It takes a long time to get there. It's really, really hard work. It doesn't mean that if you're shooting 25 weddings a year because you have to make 50,000 in income. So you have to shoot this many weddings at this price, that you're doing it wrong. I don't believe that there is a wrong or a right way to do it. To get to my level and my peers' levels, it's a really hard slog. You could decide in 5 years that you don't want to do that. So yeah, for me, it works both with the amount of service I want to give to my clients and the level of service I want to give to my clients, as well as balancing it with my personal life and my other projects that I work on as well.
Right. Talking about your other project, I've seen that you're working on something called the French Soul, which I really liked.
Yes.
So tell me a bit more about it.
French Soul is, in essence, it's my commercial photography studio.
Okay.
So it's not just me. I am the founder and the creative director of French Soul. And I really wanted to have a proper home for the work that I do that is not wedding related. I wanted to keep the two things very, very clear to benefit my commercial photography clients. So I'm the lead photographer at French Soul. So I do personal branding portraits. I do quite a lot of. So, for example, yourself, I would do personal branding photos for you so that you could really looking great, for your potential new clients.
I'm not too much of a narcissistic, but this kind of thing I really like. I learned to love it.
Yeah, it's not narcissistic, I promise you. Again, it's all about telling stories. And I love telling people's business stories. I'm a wedding photographer, but to be a wedding photographer for 10 years, you have to also be good at business. And I'm very good at business, and I love business. And I love helping other people in business. And so, yeah, pretty much what we do at French Soul is all about brand and business stories and helping our clients tell their story of their brand and help them tell their story of their business through their visuals, whether it be photos for Instagram or for their portfolio or for their business cards, or there's a million places, as you know, that you need photographs for your business on the internet. So we do that. And then I have a team of about 4 or 5 people. We all have different areas of skill set. So I work with a stylist on shoots. She comes down from Paris for most of our shoots. I have a social media marketing manager who helps our clients make the most of the visuals once we have created them for them. So there's various levels of things we do. We've been doing it pretty much nonstop for about 6 years, but never really, but only because people had asked us word of mouth. Oh, I heard you did XYZ for this hotel.
Of course.
Could you do XYZ for us? But when COVID happened, I knew I had a feeling that it was going to pretty much wipe out this year for the wedding industry here. And I was right, unfortunately. And so I decided, instead of sitting around watching Tiger King and baking bread, that
which is a very, very good documentary for those who don't know.
That's really good. And I'll be honest with you, I do miss that phase of the coronavirus, the good old days. Yeah. I miss the good old days. But I knew after like 2 weeks of kind of sitting around with my head in my hands going, oh my God, what are we going to do? That I needed to make myself busy. Obviously I've been taking a lot of photographs of the south of France with no tourists, which has been heaven.
Nice.
But I decided to formally structure all the commercial work that we do, which we usually do at the end of season, so between October and April, when the wedding season here is sleeping. And I formalized it into French Soul. And French Soul just seemed right to me, because I've always felt of myself as an English woman, but having a French soul. I think that anybody who looks at my work can see just how obsessed I am with this sentimental, over-romanticized view of the south of France. So it made sense. And we work primarily with businesses and people and brands that also have a French soul. So a big part of their storytelling is the south of France or Paris or the Riviera. And it's going well. It's going really well.
Really, really good. Amazing way to put it in words. I like it. And I have a last question for you. Do you find time to relax, Claire? Because you look like you're very busy.
No, I don't. No, I'm not a big relaxer.
All right, I can feel this workaholic vibe in here.
Yeah,
Working too much sometimes.
I do have some downtime. I have a great circle of friends, most of whom are in the wedding industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a great circle of friends. So I tend to have at least 2 hours a day, if you believe it, of gossip time with my friends. And I'm also a big. I obviously I love getting out into in just exploring different areas of the south of France and Provence. I always have my camera with me, so whether or not you can say that's downtime is debatable. But I'm also I watch at least 4 movies a week at least.
That's good.
I love and most of them I've seen several times already. So I love watching movies that give me new inspiration and ideas for how I want to tell people stories, both visually and in photos and in video. So yeah, films. I've probably seen the Russell Crowe movie A Good Year, which is set in Provence, about 19 times.
Right. So it's still practice for work.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Every time I watch it, at the start of every, I won't say the so because I know it's really hard for you to edit.
Mm-hmm.
At the start of every wedding season, I will go back and watch the same set of about 10 movies that I watch every year that get me back into the romantic, joyful frame of mind. I think that's needed to do a wedding season.
Nice. Can you name some of them?
Yeah, absolutely. So one, and I think it'll be interesting to see whether people agree with whether or not they see this in my work.
Nice.
One of my main films that I go back to first of all is Pride and Prejudice, the Keira Knightley version. Visually, absolutely stunning movie. It captures. It's strangely not set in France at all, but it has that feel to me of Provence and just innocence and romance and beauty. So that's the first film I watched. A Good Year with Russell Crowe, because for me it's the quintessentially most Provence movie you can watch.
Mm-hmm. True.
I'll watch Dirty Rotten Scoundrels because it's set in some of the most spectacular places in the French Riviera. I don't know if you've seen it.
Nope.
But it's one of those. It's one of those movies that Americans and British people watch that is very, very, very French.
Okay.
I'll watch some French movies, but not many. I'll watch is Source de Manon, the series with Manon
de Source.
Manon de Source, and there's 2. What's the other one that comes before it? But yeah, I'll watch that kind of thing. So they're almost always very romantic or at least comedy movies.
I really like this way to bring you back into the wedding season mood. You're the first person saying this to me, and it resonates a lot. I really like it.
Yeah. Well, I used to look at other people's work, and that's always a recipe for disaster. You should. Yeah, I think one bit of advice I can give anybody is do not go into a wedding looking at somebody else's work.
Of course,
because it's the quickest way to lose inspiration. So seek inspiration from the multitude of other places that you can find it. Art, movies, music. Look there. Don't look at somebody else's work.
Really, really amazing advice, Claire. I think we're going to wrap up with this. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today. And do you have final words for our audience? Do you want to add something?
Final words is weddings will always happen. I know it doesn't feel like that right now. They will come back. They will happen. People will get married again. This isn't forever. So use the time to practice your skill, take photos of your children, of your family, keep practicing, don't stop taking photos. And B, work on your SEO. Everybody needs to work on their SEO. I can't stress to you the importance. If there's one key success to my business, it's that I nailed SEO. get working on it.
Very nice words. I hope the competition will hear and will start to roll up the sleeves.
Come and give me a run for my money. I love it. Come on.
Thanks again, Claire. And you will find Claire's website on the show notes, guy, if you want to have a visit. This is one of the cutest websites I've ever seen. I can say that way, I think. So thanks again, Claire, and I hope you can take the TGV very soon with or without a mask and meet us.
I'm coming up on Sunday, so with a mask. I shall be in Paris on Sunday, but quick flying visit, I'm afraid, this one.
All right, we'll take some more time to have a coffee someday. And thank you so much.
Okay, have a good night.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks again for listening to the show today. You can find more information on our guests in the show notes, as well as my contact and my website. If you have any questions regarding your French wedding, I'm happy to help. Also, please do not hesitate to leave a review for the show. There's also a link for that. That will literally take 1 minute of your precious time and will mean the world to me. I always appreciate your support. Thank you again very much for your time and feedback. Wishing you a great day or a great night anywhere you are in the world. I send you some good vibrations and we'll talk to you again soon for a new episode. Bye bye.